Welcome back to the Born to Chat Shit podcast episode, don't know, 5, 4, 6, fuck knows.
5, I think.
Feels like we haven't recorded in a while because the last podcast we recorded was actually on the weekend, and normally record these the day before it's released, so it's been like a week and a half since we've actually recorded one of these. But again, as always, we massively appreciate all the support. If you're watching, if you're listening, if you're out for a walk, please do share it on your stories. It's growing, people are enjoying it, so we want to continue growing it as much as we can, and it's going to motivate us to do it more, that's for sure. It probably isn't, we're still going to do it regardless. Anyway, so last sort of week, Vicky, give us an update, an overview of how things have been.
It feels like it's been a long time, like you said, because we haven't recorded in a week and a half, and during that week and a half, I feel like I've lived a lifetime. Last Tuesday, I just did my back in. I don't know what happened. It wasn't during training. It wasn't after training. It wasn't like anything like typically injury related like I usually would have. I was out for a walk with the dogs, and then I came back. I sat down to do my work, and then I couldn't get back up. I was like, oh, my back doesn't feel good here. And then I was like, I'll just walk it off, like pretend like nothing's happened, because I had legs to train.
Typical Vicky
Typical
behaviour.
me. I was like, I'm just not even going to say anything to George, because I know he's got deadlifts today. So I was like, I don't want to ruin that. And then we ended up going to Ultraflex, went to do abs, and it just went completely, like after that I just could not move, could not do anything, couldn't breathe. Like it was so painful, and I would say my pain threshold is pretty high, but that I just couldn't deal with. It went all the way down my leg, typical sciatica, and I was like, I need a moment in the car. And then after that I literally just burst out crying. I was so fucking, I wasn't even upset, I was just pissed off. I get so angry when I'm injured, because I'm just like, I have a routine that I like to follow. And when I get injured, I get stressed, and usually the way I manage stress is through training, and oh my God, it just felt like the end of the world then. Had chiro in the evening, the same day. Yeah, we were very
lucky we had chiro booked in the same day, so as soon as this injury happened, we were like 2-3 hours, weren't we?
Yeah.
Before the treatment, we was like, should we go home? Should we cancel the chiro? But I was like, right, okay, let's just message him, see if he can come in earlier, which luckily, unfortunately, he was able
Amazing
to.
Guy.
And let's get Vicky looked at and see what happens, because I know what's going to happen. If we just went home, you're just going to, be in pain, and it probably would have taken you a lot longer to get back to where you was before.
Because the last time it happened was October last year, and it took me around 3 weeks to return back to, I say, like normal training. It wasn't even like normal strength, it was just like bilateral work, because the whole time it was like unilateral, single leg extension, single leg hamstring curl, single leg press, and
boring
that was all I even did single leg calf raises, because I couldn't do anything more. So for me to recover the way that I have, I'm actually surprised, and I do actually put that down to the osteo work. And I was so skeptical about it. I was like, oh, it didn't work last time, and I was getting my treatment done, and he was like, oh, can you like have a walk, see how it feels? And I was like, fucking, it doesn't feel any different. But I was like, yeah. Typical me. I can't, when you get your hair done and you hate it and you just don't say anything. It was kind of like that. I was getting my treatment done, it just wasn't great. The next day I woke up worse. I feel like such a shit night of sleep as well, because every single time I moved like one side to the other, I just woke up. And then Thursday I was like, hold up, like I can train here. Still in pain, but I was like, George, I can train. But
the chiro actually said, don't train till Friday at least. And Vicky goes round to he said, don't train till Friday.
Did he message you or?
No, he told us in the fucking thing.
Well,
and Vicky by Thursday was like, I'm ready to train. And I was like, no, Vicky, let's not fucking train. She gets way ahead of herself, and she's just going to be back into the same pain that she was before.
So George grounded me basically, and I was at home until Saturday. And the only reason why we went to the gym on Saturday is because I was meeting one of my clients, Anya, who's competing in a week's time now, a week and a half.
Yeah, just a week and a half.
So I really want to see her in person, make sure I can pose with her, because she's a first timer. So just want to get her comfortable. And then I was like, I'll have a little go at training, and it actually went really well. I didn't push weights. Like, I am probably down to my beginning weights, if I'm being honest, but I'm keeping everything like slow, controlled, and it just feels so fucking good to train.
Yeah.
And then I've done 2 leg days since that. So I've done 3 leg days in the space of half a week, but less volume.
Yeah.
I'm proud of myself.
Yeah, I think one thing that I'll dive into here with yourself is that Vicky is, I've seen her do 7 plates aside on the pivot leg press, Cybex one, which is fucking strong. I do like 10 and a half, 11 plates. Vicky's doing 7. That's better than 95% of people. And I think the reality is now, with you train legs 4 days a week, like, you're gonna have to think about, and this is what you've done so well this week, is like, we can progressively overload training, not just by lifting more weight. A lot of us who probably listen to this is like, I need to get stronger in the gym. And whilst there is this element which I think is true, at the same time, like, I think it's really important to go, right, if someone's training legs like 4 days a week like Vicky is, she's not willing to change that. She doesn't want to do 3 leg days, she doesn't want to do 2. With her goals and what she wants to achieve, we need to find other ways of building muscle without just progressively overloading. So what we've looked at this week with Vicky is I actually tried to focus more on time under tension. So for example, if you add an extra second onto your eccentric or your whole rep on an exercise, that's still progressive overload because you've got more time under tension. And so what we've done with Vicky this week is we've stripped back the weight more than half than what she was doing before on some of these big movements, but we're just being continuous, so the time under tension is just always constant. We're slowing down those eccentrics. We're actually trying to figure out more mind muscle connection stuff. And yesterday's session, I could tell you had pain in your quads when you was doing the leg press and the hack squat. Based on just looking at you. And when you actually think about it, like, you'll probably get way more progression out of doing something like that than what you would do if you fucking did 10 plates aside on a side
100%.
leg press.
I came off, my quads were pumped. I was like, I've not had this in such a long time, and I'm dieting at the moment. Like, my carbs are low, so I wasn't expecting that at all. And I just felt like, you know what, I actually enjoy that style of training. So it looks boring, like, it's nothing fancy, it's nothing exciting. Like, if I put that on Instagram, people will look at that and think, yeah, okay, like, she's lifting, it's nothing impressive. But for me, the way that I can actually connect with my muscles, and this is something I struggle with, because from my history in gymnastics, I've created so many injuries, and that's created so many like imbalances, not just in like my physique when it comes to like looking at it, but when it comes to training as well. Like, one side's so much stronger than the other. With one side I can connect with my glute, the other side just completely nothing. So with just slowing the movement down and really thinking about what am I doing with my joints, like, where am I pushing my knees? I know it sounds so fucking boring, but it just feels good to get off something, not feel injured, but still feel battered in a good way.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been my training over the last couple of days, and I've just liked it. I've just enjoyed it, and it shows as well that, some people are going to tell you, like, you should be lifting fucking heavy to grow muscle. Like, that's the only way to do things. And I still think I am lifting heavy. I'm still challenging myself. I'm still failing. I feel like I'm failing more better, if that makes any sense at all. I feel like I'm actually hitting muscular failure rather than getting to like rep 6 and be like, oh fuck, this is really heavy now, I'm going to just lift it for the sake of lifting it. So
yeah, I agree. The analogy I like to use is like a side lateral raise. Like, I've seen many people do like 35 kilo, 40 kilo dumbbell lateral raises and like progressing it like that. But I'm actually sitting there going, well, how much tension is your side delt actually getting from a movement like that? It's probably very minimal. If you probably get more out of doing 5 kilos, but keeping constant tension, pausing in the shorten, the length and rate, all this blah, blah, blah bullshit. You probably get more out of that than actually doing 40 kilo dumbbells and just doing a trap lateral raise, So I think from that aspect, I think you've taken a lot of inspiration from Tiffany Sam.
I love her.
She's an IFBB Pro wellness girl. Just watch her training. She does train heavy, I must admit. 3 plates aside on a Cybex is not normal. But what she does really well is every single rep looks the exact same. The control is really good. The range of motion is really good.
So high.
Intensity is good. And I think the main thing that I would just say to anyone when it comes to building muscle is it doesn't matter about the weight. Like, your body does not know the weight that you are lifting. It doesn't know that. The body just knows the time under tension, the resistance, the actual force, or the stress you're putting under. So if you're doing an extra second on the eccentric than what you did before, so let's say you go from 2 seconds to 3 seconds, your body's gonna have to adapt more to that because you're more time and attention across the actual set than what it would be if you was doing 50 kilo fucking press and it was the range of motion was shorter and you was not controlling the eccentric as much. So try and think about actually adding more seconds onto your eccentric.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And also, to add to that, if you're lifting heavy, be prepared to get injured very quickly, and then be prepared to be out of the gym. So if we're thinking about actually like progressing for a long period of time, it's how long you do that for and how long you sustain that for. And if you can sustain a good training stint for longer, you're going to make more progress than if you do 3 weeks of really heavy lifting, bam, get injured, and then be out of like the gym for 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think it's very smart when it comes to, we've got Mengo barking in the background here, so if you do hear it, we're just going to ignore it for now, but we may have to pause it in case you may have heard that then. She's being very annoying. She's a very needy person. But what I say is that unfortunately when you do train to failure, when you do lift heavy weights, the reality is the increases of you getting injured, especially if you don't keep on top of your stretching, mobility, which barely any of us do, to be honest with you, to the standards that we should, if we do train the way that we do, you are going to increase the risks of injury, and that's something that you have to be aware of. But if Vicky's constantly getting injured, and this is a chronic injury, it's not like a short-term injury where it's like, gone within a day. Yeah. It's a chronic injury that she's dealt with when she's growing up. It's obviously it's hugely impacted her life now. Resistance training to the point that she does is not going to help it. You do need to go back to the drawing board, and I've had to sort of like fucking get this into you a little bit because Vicky's just like always trying to be one step ahead, which is a great mentality for an athlete. However, if she's constantly just going around a vicious circle of getting injured, then taking time off and going back and regressing and going back up to where she was, getting injured, you just go around in a fucking vicious circle, and you're never going to make progress doing that. So you sometimes have to reevaluate what you're doing and be honest with yourself as well. Like sometimes the hardest thing for us to do is actually be honest with ourselves, because we're so dug into a certain way of doing things. Like I promote the low volume, high frequency, training, progressively overload, JP style training. It's not always going to work. There are going to be phases in your journey, career, whatever you want to call it, where that type of training is not going to work. Like I look at JP stories quite a lot, and he talks about how everyone should be doing like an upper lower split and things like that. If I did an upper lower split right now and I wanted to bring up my chest, I wouldn't grow my chest. You know? It doesn't always work for everyone, and eventually when you advance throughout your career, this is why you see IFBB pro bodybuilders train like shit, because they don't need to be training and lifting 200-pound dumbbells or 100-kilo dumbbells anymore. They don't need to be doing that. They're redefining their physique, so they will do the pumpy, squeezy sort of stuff. They will try and do different things. Sorry,
you just speak for fucking ages.
I know.
You just speak for ages.
Passionate.
I know, I'm trying. We were literally chatting about this before. What were you watching on the telly?
I can't remember now.
Or was it Come Fly With Me?
Come Fly With Me, yeah.
And there was
classic.
and then you were just like, oh, this is you. And it was her like constantly stopping him from speaking. I'm like, yeah, because if I don't do that, I won't speak at all.
I think we have a fair share. Now I'm just going to keep quiet.
No, don't, please. I forgot what I was going to say now, so carry on talking.
So, yeah, I think I'm going to end this shortly because I'm thinking now Vicky's thinking I'm talking too much. Sometimes you've got to realise that it's not one size fits all, and you have to sort of reevaluate what you're doing if it isn't working. So, anything else to add on that?
Oh yeah, you're talking about the IFBB pros and how they train.
Yeah.
The reason why they don't train like that anymore is probably because they did get injured so many times, and the risk to reward ratio is leaning towards the risk.
Yeah.
And also the other thing on that, and I was actually going to post this on my story on Instagram, go follow me, Dr.Wicks.
Wicks.
Wicks.
Sorry.
Do you not know where that?
I did, but I thought you said it wrong.
Do you know what? 5 episodes, we've not argued once.
This could be the one, guys. Drop a like for an argument. I'm down. I'm not down.
But I was going to write about this because I'm seeing a lot of wellness girl train at the moment, like wellness pros. And I obviously get very inspired by wellness pros. One of the ones that I do get inspired by, like we said, is Tiffany. The reason for that is because she trains as if she's still growing muscle. Now, a lot of the time, when you look at IFBB pros train, and I'm more so specifically focusing on like the bikini and the wellness categories here, because I feel like figure bodybuilding female athletes still train like crazy. But the women and men actually, that are already at the top of their game, they don't need to grow more muscle. They usually don't need to grow into their category anymore. They just need to refine and retune certain areas of body parts based off their feedback. So, for example, Laura Lee, she's a bikini athlete, I was going bikini athlete. Her thing was to actually downsize her glutes. So all that she's doing is she's manipulating her physique right now because she has the muscle tissue and density to already be at the top of the, you know, Olympia stage. Whereas if you are starting out and you're looking at certain pros train, like these bikini girls that do like glute kickbacks like all the time, and they do these like weird, Laura Lee's training specifically, I think it's obviously she's got huge glutes, so there must be something that works, but some of the things that I see them do is not very heavy lifting, and I just think take that with a pinch of salt, because that's probably not what they did to get her to that level. That's what I wanted to say.
I always say, like, go back like 4 or 5 years ago. If you look at a pro right now who's at the top of the game, look at what they were doing 4, 5, maybe 6 years ago. A good example is Nick Walker. He is, have you seen Nick Walker? He's a really blocky. So Nick Walker, he trains a bit fluffier now, but if you go back to 4 or 5 years ago in Matt Jansen's videos, he was like incline pressing like 200 kilos on a barbell. Easy as fuck, and he was like 21, 22 at the time. So go back to the old videos if you can, if there is any online, and watch what those people were doing to get to the point that they are now. Don't follow the IFBB pros who are at the top of the game who are, you know, sort of refining their physique now. Don't watch that shit, because it's not going to get you to where you want to be, which for everyone watching this is going to be more muscle, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Go back 4 or 5 years ago and see what they were doing. Most of those people, you know, you'll probably ask them what is their bench press or deadlift or whatever. I promise you it's going to be some sort of ridiculous numbers. It is. So go back to watching what they were doing rather than doing that. But for Vicky's situation, she's very much in a position right now where she's just gonna have to realign or redefine. It's not even the right word. Re-something. Reset, redefine, retune, refine. And you know, just slowly work her way back up, but be honest with herself in that situation.
Yeah, it's a shit position to be in when you feel like you've worked so hard to get to those lifts and to do those certain things and be back at point zero. But I'm telling myself right now that, you know, I've been able to lift those weights before. I'll be able to do it again, like without a doubt, because the only way that I'm going is to grow more muscle tissue with where I'm heading. And you know, if I give up right now, which is what I really wanted to do, like last week, I feel very like body dysmorphic this week. I feel like I'm the smaller I'm getting, the more I realize I just don't have the muscle tissue that I want. You know, I have the muscle tissue that I'm expected to have, but not that I want. And I just felt like I got really in my head this week, but I felt like I needed this to happen to actually take a step back and appreciate how much I love this lifestyle. I needed to be pulled back to realize like how lucky I am to actually be able to go to the gym and still train and still do all of these things and, you know, have the life that I do. So
yeah,
you know what, with every bad situation there's something that you can take away from it that is positive.
I said to Vicky yesterday in a training session, just asked her how things were going, and she was like, yeah, it's going okay. I was like, look, this time...
No, I said it. I said, I'm just grateful to be here.
Okay, but what I was going to say and remind you of is that, you know, you're a step ahead of where you was this time last week. This time last week you could barely even move and you couldn't train.
Yeah,
this week
true.
You've trained. That's what I was meant to say, Vicky.
Yeah, so, last week George had to like help me get off the toilet because I couldn't stand
I had
it.
to put her socks on and stuff. It was that bad.
It was very embarrassing.
Yeah, we decided to take a 4-day deload. I took a 4-day deload as well, as it just made sense because I haven't taken one in the last 6 sort of weeks. So with how long I may be thinking of where prep is finishing, I've maybe got another 8 weeks or so or something like that. So it just makes sense to kind of do it now and then, you know, carry on for the rest of it. But we went and saw Anya on Saturday.
Yes, we did.
How's she looking?
She's looking really good. She looks much better and leaner in person than on pictures, which is why I did actually want to see her, because even when she sent me her visuals first time when she inquired, and then I saw her in person like a week later, she just looks leaner, she looks tighter, she looks fuller as well, and I'm just really happy. She's a first timer, like I said, 23 years old and completely natural, yet she looks like, I would say, close to IFBB Pro standard. Yeah. And just very proud of her. She's the type of girl that just loves bodybuilding for what it is. She didn't have a clue, absolutely like a Scooby-Doo, about the categories, like federations. She didn't know anything about bodybuilding at the start of this year when she inquired to me, and then she was like, oh yeah, maybe one day I'll compete. I think she only takes creatine. She doesn't take any like pump pre-workouts, stim pre-workouts, no supplements, no nothing, just purely loves training and has worked her way up to the way that she looks now. And I'm just really excited to see her on stage and
that's what it's about.
Showcase everything. Her pose, and do you remember the first time we saw her at Ultraflex? She was so stiff. Anya, if you're watching this, you'll know exactly what I mean, because we were both joking about it. Yet now she's got the flow, she's got the confidence, she's got the sassiness, and it goes down to how much work that she's put in over the last couple of weeks with me. We've been having 2 check-ins per week, plus a Zoom call every single week to go through posing. And she sent me over training footage practically like every other day, every single day. I've analysed that. Even though she was really good at training before, she even dropped me a message the other day to say like, these little changes has completely like just transformed her training, and she grew a substantial amount during this time.
Good.
Posing's better, physique's better. We downsized her delts a little bit because they were a little bit too big for bikini and wellness, which is what she's going to be competing in this year.
Not a bad problem to have.
No, I know. I was literally like, if you could donate them to me, I'll be grateful.
Sorry, your delts are too big. You're going to have to fucking shrink them a little bit. It's not a bad thing at all, to be honest with you.
No, it's a great position to be in. Yeah, she's looking good and she's confident and she's happy, which is the most important thing for me, because I'm not putting any expectations on her of like, oh, you know, we're going for first placings. Well, of course we're going in there to be competitive and win. But for her, all that I just want to show her is what bodybuilding should be. And that's that you should just love training, love the process, love the challenges, and come out of this season wanting to compete again rather than being traumatized by it.
Yeah, it was like when Ryan got off stage, right? He was buzzing about it. He was buzzing to improve. He was buzzing for the next show. He was buzzing to get back into the gym and train. That's what it should be about. You don't want to come off stage and go, that was fucking shit. I can't be arsed. I can't wait for this prep to be done. I can't wait to go off plan and binge eat afterwards. Yeah. That's not bodybuilding, in my opinion. That's just when people doing it for the wrong reasons.
Of course, you're going to be thinking about like what meal like you might want to have after if you're dieting for a long period of time. But it's when people get more excited for post show than they do for show day. I'm like, you're in for a very, very sticky ride.
Long
ride.
Yeah, journey ahead of you. So yeah, she's looking great. I think lastly we to touch upon like in-person check-ins versus photos. Huge difference. Like, I'll be honest, when I saw Ryan, I was like, okay, his glutes need a little bit more off than what I thought in photos, but I'm glad he was still perfectly in shape for his show last week, but I was like, he needs a little bit more to come off there. But if I didn't see him in person, then potentially I wouldn't have known that. So it's good to sort of get photos, but also if you can, make an effort to go see a client in person, because the in-person eye is never going to be fucking beat a photo at all, in my opinion, because you get to see transitions, you get to see when they're relaxed, you get to see all the other things that come with it as well. So if you are a coach and you have clients competing, see them in person, travel to their gym, meet up somewhere, wherever it may be, because that in-person eye makes a huge difference to your decisions and what needs to be done, in my opinion.
Yes,
so
it's essential for decision making.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I think even like size wise as well, like size in pictures can really differ to in person, and for female categories specifically that can play a huge role in where you place someone. So someone may look very wellness on pictures because of the camera angles, etc., but when you see them in person they are quite small. Not small, but you know, they're much smaller size than what you'd expect through the visuals that you see online. And you know, that way you might move them more into a bikini category for now before they do grow into a more wellness type physique. So yeah, it's good to be able to do that as well, and it's something that we stand by. So we're actually going to go see Ryan over the next couple of days, because both Ryan and Anya are competing on the same day, UKDFBA Heart of England, and then I'm going to go see Anya as well on Saturday or sometime during the weekend.
Yeah, sounds good. Anything else about your week that you want to touch upon? I'm not trying to hint that there's something that you need to say, by the way.
You always say that.
It's just I'm not sure if there's anything you wanted to mention about your week in itself.
Anything else about my week? Scale weight went down by 0.8 of a kilo last week, but I did take out growth hormone whilst I was injured. And I also took out clenbuterol, and I also took out yohimbine, which are the three things. And cardio. And training. So quite a few factors that made that scale weight drop. Obviously I wasn't retaining any water from training, cardio, GH, yohimbine, and yeah, it was quite a big drop for me given the fact that I do struggle to sort of lose weight.
And we bumped up your food on a rest day.
Yeah, we did actually.
So Vicky was on like 1,400 calories on a rest day, which is super, super low in my opinion, to about 1.8, so an extra 400 calories, and she dropped weight throughout that week, which just goes to show that you should fucking put the foot on the fucking brake weeks ago, you know? I tell her this, but no, she's like, and as soon as you get back into training this week, guess what she's done? Oh, should we think about changing my food? I'm like, Vicky, now I'm going to be rude. You need to shut the fuck up. She needs to shut up, because honestly, she's like, all right, I'm a couple of days back in training now. I'm going to fucking dig deep. I'm like, your scale weight dropped, eating more food, taking less assistance, and doing no cardio. Okay? Ease yourself back into things. Let's give this couple of days, a week a go, see what happens, and then reassess from there. She's too impatient. She wants to fucking, all right, if I haven't got a new low tomorrow, it's disastrous. Things need to change.
If I don't have a new low tomorrow, I'm fucking done. That's what I say. When I have my stroppy moments, I look at George, I'm like, I'm fucking done. And I just burst out crying.
And now we've just made a meme out of it.
Yeah,
when she's being serious.
So if you see me in person, just say I'm fucking done. And I know exactly what you're saying. But yeah, over the last 3 days, my scale weight has just maintained. So I've not dropped anything. I've not actually gained or lost anything on average this week, which in my head is annoying. But at the same time, I know, again, Yahimi's gone back in, growth hormone's gone back in, training's gone back in. I'm not doing cardio at the moment because it's too taxing on my back. So I could do a leg press, but I can't apparently do the Stairmaster. Priorities. So I'm doing like a 5, 6, 7K fasted walk with my Yahim really, really quick. I feel like I'm speed walking in the Olympics.
It does elevate your heart rate.
It does.
Yeah,
we did hills as well.
I was like, you know what? Actually, my heart rate's up. I was getting a bit of sweat this morning, you know?
Yeah, so that's that. But apart from this, just doing the do. I'm excited to go down south for a little bit and train at Physique Graphism, maybe go to a coach. Oh, Gritness.
Can't call it Graphism anymore. Gritness is a shit name though, I must admit.
They should have called it like Grit Fitness.
Gritness, like.
Oh, I've just realised that they merged Grit. Don't worry.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else you want to mention about your week?
No, that's all. What about you?
Yeah, it's been a good week. Scale weight's about 0.8 of a kilo down on average. What's funny?
Just you.
Yeah, it's been a good week.
Yeah.
Scale weight's down on average, leaner, looking better, more conditioned. You know, things are coming to play. I'm still 10 kilos above my last year's 2022 prep, which is mind blowing. So yeah, I think I look pretty good. The only thing that needs to come in for me right now is my glutes and my hamstrings, and just a little bit more body fat everywhere. I think needs to come off a little bit, just a little bit more.
Your lower back's come in significantly this week. I think you're starting to see the Christmas tree quite a lot in your standard Corin Pose.
Yeah.
You do look leaner, 100%.
Yeah. So.
And I've noticed with you is your visuals change very quickly.
Yeah.
You're not like anyone I've ever seen before. Your visuals change very, very quick, even if your scale weight doesn't. So.
Yeah, it's an interesting prep, this one, to be fair, doing it with the use of assistance. It kind of like, fuck the scale. Even though scale weight, I've got to hit a new low this morning. I'm buzzing about that. You know, in the last couple of days when my scale weight's in fact gone up, I look better for it, you know, which may obviously indicate why the scale weight's gone down this morning so far. But yeah, I cannot complain so far. It's been very easy. I'm a little bit more food focused, I would say, right now on a day-to-day sort of basis. You know, I do look forward. I just went to Lidl before I recorded this podcast, and I was having a right old look at the Lidl's bakery.
Why do that?
But I'm never going to eat it. Like, my goals are way more important than that.
Yeah, but if your food focus is high, why put yourself in a situation where it's going to be higher?
Yeah, and I said that in the vlog. I said, if you are focused around food, don't do what I've just done. So
you're just a hypocrite.
So yeah, basically I'm a hypocrite. But I'm never going to cave into that sort of stuff. My goals outweigh that way more. But just going there, and smelling and looking is not a bad thing for me.
Yeah, but I'll interrupt there. Even if you're not going to like cave into those cravings, your mood's going to change.
Has it though since I've been back?
Yes.
No, it hasn't.
No, it hasn't.
I've been sad.
But it can do.
Yeah, it can do.
It can do. And the thing is, when you become food focused, okay, like I used to be like this in my 2022 prep. I was food focused. I would never ever go off plan. I don't think I have it in me to go off plan.
No.
To be honest with you, if anything, I'm too on plan. But the mood changes are still there. So don't expose yourself to an environment that's going to make you more pissed off. Like,
sorry guys,
yeah,
fucked up earlier, but it was worth looking at in my opinion.
So you told me off, I'll tell you off now.
It was worth looking at.
Yeah, and also if you're listening to this in August 2024, if you get the Lidl app, apparently if you purchase anything from Lidl, you get one free thing from the bakery. So even if you purchase like a pack of chewing gums, and who's going to eat it? Me.
A homeless person.
Yeah, you should have done that.
No, I should have done that. I'm going to go back now, tomorrow. So yeah, train on a whole, and for me, training's been good. Cannot complain.
Also not sponsored. That was not sponsored by Lidl.
Yeah, Lidl, come on, sponsor us. What? You know, we get your salmon fillets and that. Your meat's quite good. Your vegetables all right. Your potatoes all right. Come on, sponsor it. Yeah, I've just literally repeated myself. Everything is going pretty smoothly for me right now, minus a little bit of hunger signalling in a little bit more, but you know, my goals are so big, it doesn't matter when it comes to that.
I'm hungry for success.
Yeah, that's it. I'm hungry for success. So yeah, it should be a good week in the books. The only thing that's just like gone shit for me is my pressing movements. They always do in a diet. So question for this podcast: what is one muscle group that you train when dieting that always just fucking goes downhill? Mine is my bicep training. Like, my strength for my bicep work, not that it matters really, I just get so weak when I'm dieting. Every diet that I do, my biceps just like fucking just die on me.
Mine do as well. My biceps and my hamstrings.
Bicep and hamstrings, yeah.
Not that I train biceps anymore, but...
So pushing movements have started to suffer for me a little bit. But what I've just done is I've gone, right, okay, like, they're going to go down. Like, don't look back at what you was doing previously. Just go in, and as long as you're training to failure, regardless of what like weight you're using, just do that. And what I've done is I've just completely reset. I've still logbooked because I always like to do that. Maybe I shouldn't do it, but I enjoy the logbook element of it, even if I am dieting. And I've just reset, and I've just literally gone, you know what will be. So I did like the incline Smith the other day, and it was like 1 and a 15 each side. It was kind of poverty weight, but at the same time I was like, okay, I trained to failure because I fucking had to rack it halfway down because I couldn't complete the reps. So I was like, yeah, that's failure. And I came off and my chest felt all right from it. So yeah, pressing movements started to go a little bit shit, but I've just done what I feel like is needed at this moment just to kind of eliminate any of that like attachment. Because what I was finding when we were training at Destination was I was getting too like attached to those sessions in the sense that push day came round and I was like, oh, here we go, another week of
it before you even started.
I was done with it before we even started, but here we go, another week of just fucking regressing, because it was 2 back-to-back weeks of just regressing my numbers. But we've gone over to Ultraflex Derby full time now compared to Destination, and since then, just being in that atmosphere, having the variety of equipment that they do, it's just been really, really nice for me actually in terms of all of that. On that note, I did mention in my YouTube video, one of the recent ones, why we've trained Ultraflex Derby now compared to Destination. So I won't bore you about it too much, but long story short, I was posing in there at the back of the gym in the functional area, and I got into my thong. Now, normally I've never had an issue with getting into a thong and doing some posing in the middle of the gym. Like, I can do it in front of hundreds of people and don't bat an eyelid. What are you smirking at?
But this time George's bush was a bit too big and everyone started to look.
I did have a bit of a bush. However, it was noticeable for anyone to be looking at me the way that they were.
I'm winding you up.
Okay. Well, I thought it was serious then, but yeah, I did have a bit of a bush. I've shaved now, but I did have a bit of a bush, and there was about 5 eyes on me, but they weren't looking at me like, wow, okay, this is amazing, like, fair play to this guy. They were looking at me like, why the fuck are you doing this? So I just felt uncomfortable, like, for the first time ever. And I get it, I appreciate it, and this is what I said in my YouTube video, I appreciate that, you know, sometimes people don't want to see this sort of shit in the gym. You go to a gym, you don't want someone standing there in a thong fucking pose in the mirror and all that sort of stuff. I get it. Because if I wasn't into what I was doing, I would probably feel the exact same. But I want to be in an environment where people actually go, you know what, fucking hell, George, like, you're doing good here, mate, or just keep up to what you're doing, and people maybe be inspired by that, if that makes sense. That's the environment that I want to be in. What's funny?
Your bush is really nice.
Your bush is really nice. It's
Sorry,
it's got a little bit hairier this week. We've got a few grey hairs there. Getting a little bit old by the looks of it. But yeah, I want to be in that sort of environment. So yeah, we sacked off Destination. Even though Destination's 10-minute drive from the house, and Ultraflex Derby is 45 minutes there and back, maybe an hour on some days, depending on traffic. For me right now, in terms of where I'm at, I think it's definitely needed, and I'd much rather
Destination is still a really good gym. Like, it's nothing to take away from the gym or like the people that are there. Like George said, it's just for some people, it's just a bit of a weird thing to do, and where George wants to pose after every single session now to see how he's looking, to assess his physique. It's just not the place for us to be in. I assume we will go back at some point, you know.
Yeah.
But just for now, I do agree. I think for myself as well included, I train legs 4 times a week, so it's just having a variety of equipment that draws me to Ultraflex Derby. Like there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 different leg presses there.
Yeah.
Rather than just having like the option. Well, not actually, Destination has 3, but like I don't know.
It's just a variety
like
of different
squats.
sort of...
There's 4 different hack squats, and it's just nicer. Like I can be a little bit more. Like my training can be a little bit more fun. That's basically what I'm trying to say.
It's just a little bit more variety in that sense. So yeah, overall for me, a good week. Haven't decided on shows yet. Sort of have a rough idea of what I might do, but again, no pressure. Just enjoying the process, and what will be, and that's it. And that's the first ever time I've done something like that. So it's probably by far been the best prep that I've ever done to this point, which I'm really buzzing about. And every prep that I've done, I've just got better in terms of how I manage things, relationships, the mental aspect that comes with it, the physique, the training, just matured every single time that I've done it. So if you are a first time competitor listening to this as well, it's fine to fuck up the first time. Like, I'm not saying, okay, yeah, you need to fuck up your relationship, but it's fine to make mistakes. It's fine to, you know, have wobbles, but you just need to learn from it. And the first time I prepped, I was a cunt, to be honest with you, sorry for my language. But then second time I was much better, and this time I'm hopefully I'm not a cunt. Do you think I'm
No,
a cunt?
I would say actually you've surprised me quite a lot in this prep.
Big up.
In a positive way.
Yeah.
Then may I add, just because like even when I'll talk about this because this is a sit down podcast, like we'll be very open and honest with it. Last week I really struggled mentally, and I'd never expect George to give up his prep or anything like that for me. I will always support him fully, but his intrinsic response or his natural response was like, prep's done, like I don't want to do it, I want to support you through this. He was like, last time it took you 3 weeks to recover, of course I'm not going to be selfish during this time and you can't train, etc. And I would have never got that from you. I think the first time we did prep together, or even like from what your mum explained to me how you used to respond in your first ever prep, I don't think you'd ever be as selfless as you were last week. For example, George didn't need to deload. You didn't need to deload, but the only reason why he did deload was because I just feel like he wanted to have my back. And again, I felt really guilty for it because I was like, no, you're on prep, like you need to get things done. But it's kind of showing me like, look, I'm still going to tick all my boxes in terms of food, in terms of this, but where I can support you, I'm going to support you. And that's been like, for me, that's been really nice to see, because it makes me want to give back to you even more now that I can do so.
Yeah, I agree. I wasn't going to I wasn't just going to carry on like going to the gym and having great sessions and progressing my physique, and Vicky's at home with a broken back pretty much. If Vicky's not able to train, then I'm not going to train. It's just how our relationship works. I'm not someone who's just going to, you know, go to the gym without Vicky and just leave her at home. Like I haven't got that in me as a person. It's just not engraved in me. So it used to be. If this was 2022, 2019, I wouldn't give a fuck.
2023 as well.
I'm going to the gym. I'm going to the gym. I'm training. You deal with your own problems, kind of mentality. But what's Vicky's problems is my problems, and what my problems are is Vicky's problems, and that's how we work as a team.
I think you've learned quite a lot from me, because that's what I'm like.
Yeah.
You know, I will always, like, I'll give up an arm and a leg for the people that I love.
Yeah.
And even though I know some people will be like, look at this and think, that's fucking toxic. It's not, because I'd never expect that from you. It's kind of like I will be there to support you. I'll still look after myself. I'll still do the things that I need to do, but just in moments where I can pull back and, you know, give you 80% or this relationship 80% when you've only got 20.
Yeah.
I think that's why we are so strong throughout these sort of phases. So
yeah. I'd happily drop the prep. You know, if you was completely out of training for the rest of the year, then I would just go and fuck prep.
I think for me as well, like I knew that, so I was like, you need to get yourself back up very, very quickly, because I know how important this is to you.
Yeah.
So it goes two ways. Two ways. But it's been actually really nice and pleasant to be around George, just because of his mindset. Like I can see it's not a compulsive thing. He gives it his absolute all. He doesn't skip a beat. He is so organised, but he does. When I'm looking at you, it's not that you have to do these things, it's that you want to do these things. And if they weren't done, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but I also know how much it means to you. It's such a lovely balance of things. And it's like, for me, it's so refreshing to see, because I don't feel like I'm thrown to the side, or I don't feel like you're throwing the essentials of like your life to the side as well, like in terms of your physical, emotional, spiritual development that I think is a priority for you right now.
Yeah. So overall, very good week. Should we dive into today's topic?
Yeah, go ahead.
What would we, if we had to go back in time when we started training, what would we do differently? Have you had a little think about this?
Do you know what? No,
neither have I. So I've been put on the spot. So I actually got one in the top of my head, and you could use this as a cheeky plug potentially, but I didn't get a coach till about 3 years into my journey. And I look back now and I think, you know what? If I went into the gym, because what I've realised is that regardless when you go into the gym for the first ever time, regardless of what you do, whether it's high volume, low volume, superset, all this sort of shit, every fucking thing that you do, you're going to make progress from, regardless of your starting point. I wish I got a coach a lot earlier into my journey. And I feel like I would have made even more progress than what I have done right now, to be honest with you. I'd have learned the foundations and the staples from early doors, and you know, I would have got that experience underneath my belt. I would have learned how to train properly. I would learn how to, because the issue that I had when I was very early into my training career, was I was a very choppy, changey person. I'd watch someone on YouTube and go, right, I'm going to do their workout today, and then I'd watch another thing, and I don't believe that you need to stay on the exact same exercises every single week. I do believe you can go to the gym and change things every single week and still make progress. However, I think for me, to begin with, I was doing it too excessively. You know what I mean? To the point where I was changing so much, so often. Actually, yeah, 2 points. Yeah, I got 2 points there. that was, I've just literally done 2 points there.
So get a coach.
Get a coach, and don't chop and change things too much, in my opinion, or too frequently.
Which your coach could potentially tell you.
Yeah, which your coach could potentially, yeah.
Okay.
Fucking retard. So yeah, that was my biggest sort of learning experience, is I kept chopping and changing things. I wish I just stuck to some staples and done that for X amount of time to actually know whether I was progressing or not, because I never actually understood if I was actually progressing or not, and I would just yo-yo back and forth.
I think that's an interesting point, because for me, I did get a coach straight off the bat.
Yeah.
Like, I went into bodybuilding and I had a coach straight away. I guess something that I maybe wish I would have done, not necessarily done differently, because I feel like my coaches were good coaches, but maybe as a consideration, if you are at that starting point and you're thinking about getting a coach, is make sure you know how to get a coach and what you're looking for in a coach, because every single coach out there is going to be different and can provide you with different things, and has different values, most importantly. So I'll be straight up and honest. When I first got a coach, I didn't do much research into how they coach, who they coach, what they do, what their check-ins are like. I had no clue. I liked the way that they looked. Like, I was like, she's got good delts, I want to bring up my delts, so she's going to be my coach. And to be honest with you, sometimes the way people look is not representative of how good they are as a coach. I know looks are a fantastic marketing tool, and you'll probably notice this, that previously when you've done preps, you had way more inquiries, and this is why a lot of coaches will do preps and they'll never compete again, because it's a lovely way to get clients. Don't agree with that one bit. I think it's fucking stupid, but that's another topic. Sorry, I love these podcasts because I can actually be myself. Anyway, but it's kind of like, what the things that you should look for, right, is how do they communicate, in my opinion. Like, how are they going to communicate? They're going to communicate via WhatsApp, email. How often do you communicate with them? You know, how many times do they do check-ins per week? How do they do check-ins? Is it just like a one-word response? Is it a video? And look for what you need specifically. Like, if someone comes to me and they're like, I want a coach that will make me lose 10 kilos in the next 5 weeks, I'll be like, sorry, I'm not taking you on board, because that's just not me. It's not my value. It's not my ethics it's not in line with my ethics as a coach. It's just not what I'm going to do. So their communication style, their check-in, how they train as well, and how they program training. Because for example, if someone comes to me and they say, I want to be a CrossFit person, CrossFit athlete, whatever you
CrossFit person,
a CrossFit bunny. I can't program you because I just don't know how to do that. I don't do CrossFit. So again, like, don't come to me if you're going to want to do CrossFit. You know, that's another thing. And then the other thing that I would say is as well, like, who they are as a person, like their personality type. If someone is like, if someone doesn't like hearing the harsh truths, not the harsh truths like in a bitchy way, but if someone doesn't like being critiqued and just wants like things to be sugar coated, I'm probably not the right person to go to again, because I'll be very honest with you always. Like, if you're telling me I want this, I don't know, I want to get my pro card next year in wellness, but you've only been competing for 2 months, I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, babe, let's do it. Like, come on, girly. Like, come on, girly pop. I'll straight up say like, look, no, we need more time, you know? So again, go for the coach that you want and suits you. So that's what I would say in terms of getting a coach really early on.
Yeah, for sure. Agree. What's your point? Have you got one thing that you've...
Can you just talk for a second?
Talk for a second. What are you up to then? Oh, she's clipping. Oh, she's going to cough. She's basically cough. Is that COVID, is it?
No.
God, what's the cough about then?
A little vape cough.
A little vape cough. Fucking hell. Stop vaping, Vicky. Yeah, I don't know what my other point is. I need to have more time to think. So have you got another point? One
thing that I wish I would have done differently is not be scared to train to get bulky. Oh, I hate actually saying that.
What?
Not train too hard in case I get bulky.
Oh.
Because when I first started training, I didn't want to get huge. Like, my goal was like weight loss, and I'd skip upper body. I would not train upper body. Whereas girls, like, if you listen to this and if you're starting out, an upper body will actually give you the illusion of like a smaller waist and then like an even bigger bum, or like, it's all in relation to, it depends what your body structure is like. Again, getting a coach will help you with that. But I remember when I first started, I didn't want to train too hard. This was, I would say, like, this is like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Because I was like, I don't want to look like a man. And I hate saying that. I actually hate saying that because I just think it's so stupid, and I would never say that right now, because I think femininity is what you make of it. And I would say I've got the most amount of muscle that obviously I've ever had, and I look the most feminine I ever have. But yeah, that's definitely something that I would have changed. I would have gone into training because I love it, not just because I want to look a certain way.
Yeah. Good one, actually.
Yeah,
Good
because
point.
I feel like that's something that a lot of, and I think initially that's the motivating factor of, okay, I'm going to go and train and I'm going to get into bodybuilding because I want to look a certain way. Yeah, for sure. And I think that's always going to be a part of it. Like, of course I want a big bum, you know, of course I want big legs, but it's not my driving factor. My driving factor is that I do love training and I do love this lifestyle. So I can't really change that though, because that's a motivating factor. But yeah, I would definitely not be scared to train, because believe me, I train fucking hard and I still don't have the muscle that I want, or the muscle that it will take me to look too hench, you know?
Yeah.
Minus my traps. My traps are pretty
yeah, traps. And one point I would say is actually committing to a phase. So I think mainly people could struggle when they're in the earlier part of their journey to commit to a bulk because they're scared of getting fat. I've had that before, or they get too fat, if that makes sense. They commit the opposite, and they go too far. Again, coach will help you with that, link in bio. But yeah, I noticed that a lot of people, especially in the early parts of their training, they'll commit to like a 6-week bulk, an 8-week bulk, a 12-week bulk. Now, unfortunately, as a natural, building any muscle within the space of 8 weeks is going to be a very, very small percentage. Very, very small. So you've got to, especially with a bulk, for example, you've got to spend, I would say as a natural, at least 6 months in a calorie surplus, actually adding body weight over time, not every week, but every sort of couple of months or whatever, or each month, gradually over a period of time to build muscle, and then diet back down, depending on how long you need to do that or whatever, but staying in a calorie surplus or staying in diet for as long as you need. I remember when I first started, I was dieting, but then weekends I'd fuck it up by just going off plan and overindulging. Oh, was it your next point? Yeah. Now go into that then. Yeah, go into that.
No, carry on. So commit to a phase.
Yeah, commit to a phase.
And give yourself time, I think.
Yeah.
Like, just because you're saying I'm going to do, and this is something I see very often, people starting out, I'm going to do a bulk over Christmas, and then November, December, that's when they'll do the winter bulk for 2 months, and then they'll reach January like, fuck, I got too fat because I had too many social occasions, and then they'll like obviously mini cut, and then they'll mini cut for like 6 weeks when the motivation's high in January, February, and then they'll go back into a bulk, and it'll just be like a ping pong back and forth. And not only like give yourself time and commit to a phase, but also have that phase be structured, so don't go balls deep into a phase. And that's for actual like progress or like surplus and deficit. Don't be aggressive all the time with everything that you do, especially if you are natural, because there's only going to be a certain amount of muscle that you can gain in a bulk anyway. Yeah, you do need a surplus of some sort to obviously drive muscle tissue, muscle hypertrophy, but don't just get like fat. And I've definitely done that, like, oh, I'm gonna bulk, and then I would eat like pasta, pizza, McDonald's. This was at uni, and then I'd go to the gym like 3 times a week, and on some occasions, like if the weeks were busy, I'll maybe hit the gym like once or twice, and then, you know, they would be like, I'll go on holiday, oh yeah, okay, I'll hit the gym once. And I was I was consistent with my fucking food, but I was not consistent with my gym. So again, like, be actually like structured with it. Don't push it too far in a bulk. And then the same goes for a mini cut. Don't say to yourself, okay, like now I'm going to cut, and I'm going to cut my calories to 1000 straight off the bat, and try and sustain that for 4 weeks only to gain it all back again, you know, and ping pong back and forth. Do it in a structured way. So commit to a long-term. Sorry, were you going to say something?
No, I just had a flashback of one of my clients, James, who started working with me. His coach put him on his first bulk, and he gained 10 kilos in 10 weeks. And his coach was like, yeah, you definitely built muscle. And I'm thinking, no, mate, you've just fucking bloody got fat, ain't you, for the last fucking 10 weeks. You ain't built no muscle doing that. Yeah, sorry. What was your point that you was...
I don't even know.
Go on to your next point then.
Oh, yeah. Don't fuck up your progress, again, by ping-ponging back and forth per week. So this is literally like a microcycle. So we've talked about like mesocycles now, or like, you know, having structured phases, but every single week I'd be so good Monday to Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday came, and I literally treated it like a weekend off of food. Oh, I just had the best time, but not in a good way, because every single time Monday came, I was like, what the fuck did you do that for?
Yeah.
Honestly, and that is just something, yes, you can have flexibility, yes, you can have fun, but also like within moderation, and don't just completely be like, okay, well, because I'm going out for a day, that gives me like room to not track and just have everything that I wanted. Because that's another thing that I did. I say, for example, had a meal off planned on a Saturday in the evening. I used to go out with my girlies and have some dinner. I'd wake up and go to Spoons for breakfast, because I'm going to go out for dinner anyway, so I'm not going to be tracking. But that was just me, and this is me being honest. Again, this was like 6-7 years ago, but still, it was definitely a mistake that I made. So the way that I would do it is stop starving yourself Monday to Friday only to eat 4,000, 5,000 calories per day on Saturday and Sunday, and then potentially Friday night when you go out as well. And just try and get a little bit more consistency throughout the week. Put your food up on all of the days, and minus like the Saturday and the Sunday. So what I'm trying to say is equal the food out across the week, and actually try and macro track on the weekends. If you live in the UK, especially like England, there is macros and calories on every single menu. Like, it's a legal requirement right now. Yes, okay, it's not going to be 100% perfect, but if you're going to go Nando's, check what the calories are, macro track the rest of the day. You can still stick to plan. You can still have that off plan.
I think that actually makes it worse, to be honest with you.
Why?
Because if I go out, I want to enjoy food, and I don't want to care about what's in it. And if I know what's in it, I'm going to be like, oh, I'm not going to go for that because it's got this amount of calories. Like, it puts me off.
I would say it does the opposite for me, because I'm aware of what I'm eating now.
But you're not going to enjoy yourself if you see something which is like 1,400 calories.
Why not?
Because you're going to go for something, you think, oh, I better not eat that.
Why not?
When really it's not going to matter in moderation, is it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, in moderation, but if you're doing it every single weekend.
Yeah, I guess if you've got goals.
Because I've had clients in the past that do go out every Friday, Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah. Okay.
And if they do go out every Friday, Saturday and Sunday, and they don't check the menu, and they're having something that's 1,500 calories plus drinks and plus dessert.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shut up.
I don't know. Final point from me is don't look too much into what people are doing on social media. I used to look at like what I remember searching like Jay Cutler's workouts on like YouTube and bodybuilding.com, and I think if I do 4 sets of 15 to 20 and I do all these exercises, I'm gonna look like Jay Cutler. When, you know, fast track nearly 10 years later, I look nowhere near like Jay Cutler, and I never ever will. So just do what you enjoy, Fifth and final point for the Georgie boy is don't look too much into what people are doing on social media. I used to look at like Jay Cutler's workouts on his Instagram. I used to go on bodybuilding.com and he was doing like 4 sets, 15 to 20 high volume stuff. And I was like, right, if I do this, I'm going to look like Jay Cutler. And obviously nearly 10 years later, I look nowhere near like Jay Cutler. So just do Close, yeah, fucking right. Just do what you enjoy doing. Find what works best for you and just have fun with it. Rather than sort of like looking at these influencers and go, well, if he does that, I need to do that. No, you don't. You really don't. You just got to find what works best for you. So that is my last point. Like, just stick to what you enjoy doing and be consistent. I think the biggest element of anything in bodybuilding is just consistency. Regardless of what it is, whether it's what everyone does or whether it's someone, you know, that you never see anyone else do anymore, just be consistent with it and it will eventually pay off. If you're training intensely, it'll just pay off. So just do what you want to do. That's my final piece of the puzzle.
And my final point is do this because you love yourself and love your body, not to love yourself and love your body.
Yes.
That's a deep one to finish on. But honestly, it's something that was so important to me because at the start of my fitness journey, quote unquote, I hate saying that. I don't know why I hate saying that. It's so cringy. But at the start of my fitness journey, I really just wanted to change myself because I hated myself so much. And my relationship with food was really, really bad. And I thought that, you know, this was going to make me feel better, only to find that I had a really poor relationship with training and everything. And only when I actually started doing it because I loved myself and I loved what I do and I loved my body and I wanted to like fuel my body in the right way and train because I get to, not because I have to. That's when things start to really change up for me. So start by actually working intrinsically and then training and fitness and your progressions will just escalate rather than, you know, add to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the last point from me.
That's the last point. I like that podcast. It was good. Had a good catch up, a good update, and we sort of dive into other conversations with that. Got some topic out the way as well. And don't know how long we've been recording for. I think it's going to be around 45, 50 minutes, which I think is a sweet spot for most people, to be honest with you. Anything over an hour, I think people will just want to switch off.
No, I think when it comes to us, people just love it.
Yeah, they just love it. They'll listen to 4 hours a day of us, you know?
Yeah, why don't we just do a 24-hour podcast?
Yeah, man, just do a live stream.
Yeah, a live stream day in the life. I reckon that would do well. I reckon that would be pretty sick.
No, I ain't doing that.
God, you see my breakdowns. I'm fucking done.
God, you see me pick my nose 100 times.
Oh yeah, it's so
terrible.
bad.
I've probably picked my nose a couple of times in this, to be honest with you.
Scratch your balls. Someone's called out George for scratching his balls in the podcast, which is just embarrassing.
Just force of habit, to be honest with you. Not that.
Stop doing that.
Not as dirty down there. Anyway, right, we'll leave it on that. Thank you very much for tuning into this week's podcast. Please do share on your stories. Please drop a rating on Spotify and Apple Podcast. And if you are viewing on YouTube, don't forget to drop a like, if I've already said that, and subscribe. There we go. Thanks again, and we'll see you guys in the next one.